Hi, this is Toby Pilato with the Hollywood Times. I'm speaking with directors Quaha and Victor Vell about
Nice.
their film exploring their life, music, and legacy of the Vietnamese composer Yvonne. Did I pronounce everything correctly?
Yes. Hi,
Yeah.
Toby.
A
Hi.
plus. A plus for pronunciation.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for being here. I did have the chance to watch the film,
Amazing.
and what really struck me right away was how personal and layered it felt. It really brought heart. I could feel it somatically. I like cried in parts that didn't even make sense. Why am I crying? But I'm so captivated by this story. And I have to say, I really loved what you were doing with the artwork. It felt so rich and almost therapeutic to watch. I'm actually an art therapist. So the scrapbook, the textures, even the way you were taping things, creating gentle repair and preservation, I felt really enmeshed in your life and your search, gently holding on to something that could have been lost. And I'm really curious, that kind of process and creativity comes so naturally to you. Did your current storyboarding emerge from trying to reconnect with your grandfather and that feeling of longing or homesickness?
So uh, I want to speak first on the fact that, this is my first film ever. I've never made a film before, and my background is actually in graphic design and art direction. So that's what you're seeing with, this collage and graphic design, the motion graphics in the film. Um, what started this journey for me was the obsession and the spark that to find my grandfather's music. And it actually began as a journey in archiving and documenting the sheet music, the covers that he wanted, that was lost to time. And then after that, I met Doug and Victor, who are my producer and co-director. And we kind of started this film band that started to put the story together.
Yeah, so that's when I came on board, and to also kind of bank off of your question is the film, as you can tell, has all of these various different styles, and so something that was really important for us is we wanted to create a very flowy yet rigid film language. And what was really important is we understood there's so many layers, like you were saying, on which the story is being told. And so if you think about it, each and every so there's 8 distinctive visual styles that we have in the movie, which is boots on the ground, so all of our verite, interviews, animation, graphic design, archival footage, archival photos, chapter headers, which is the desert sequences, and knolling, which is the top down Wes Anderson stuff. And so those what was really important for us was to, with all of these visual styles, obviously that seems overwhelming when you're talking about putting that into a documentary, but we really wanted to craft a logical reasoning behind each of those uses. As an example, the sequences where we go into Yvonne's past and his and stories that he's telling, those will always be animation. But when we're showing photos of his past, that'll always be graphic photography. If we're showing Vietnam in the past, that's graphic. Sorry, not that is archival footage as opposed to the archival photos of his past. And so each and every different style points towards a different portion of the story. And that way, when the audience sees it, we've almost Pavloved them into understanding, well, what are we talking about before we even say a single word.
Well, you did
And
a fantastic job with that because the moment I was there, it actually brought me to like childhood mm, memories of songs that had that similar time frame and that reflection in, as well as the colors, the red, white, and black, that then were covered with things that I didn't necessarily see, but I recognized the timeline directly, impactfully, emotionally. So yeah, the varying even the animation as a past recall and that seamless transition into showing that beautiful picture of you and the chapters. I just love the segmentation and how the story itself unfolded. It was extremely captivating.
Thank you.
yeah, and Qua's graphic design background was, the leading force behind that. Qua, maybe you could talk about who you collaborated with in that and in the animation as well.
Yeah, so very early on we know I wanted to build a Vietnamese and US team in collaboration to work on this project. So in Vietnam we have a co-production house partner, Bun Chao, who helped us, put together the whole team, and then we worked with an animation studio called Cow Motion where I actively worked on with them on every single piece of animation and all the direction for it. The process was super fun and exciting, like when we were trying to think of ways to translate the stories from the interviews into the animation, storyboarding, picking out the different colors for each piece of animation, with intention to tell the story. And then the team in Vietnam was one of the best teams that we ever worked with. Our local like camera officers, some of the best. Our drone operator is one of the best crazy drone operators we've ever worked with. This 25-year-old kid, we call him Drone God, as you see reflected in the in the footage in the film. And I think it's the combination of all these pieces, the combining with the design and the motion graphics, and it was so fun to be able to tell this story in this way.
And I want to, while we're highlighting the team, I want to first and foremost really talk about Douglas Emerson, our lead producer, who this film does not happen without him on more levels than you could ever think. Producers are always integral, but what Doug did for this movie was absolutely pivotal because he did more than just produce. He was, we often joke that he's almost like the third director. He was there with us in the editing bay every day, helping us with structure. When we were shooting any scenes, he actually worked with our extremely talented cinematographer, Jake L. Mitchell. And Doug was having a tiny little notebook all the time where he would have all the shots that we wanted as well and extra things because obviously we don't have a traditional shot list. It's a documentary, but we have shots, emotional shots we dream up. So, Doug, I just want to highlight as the core, going above and beyond as a producer. And to keep it quick, we also, this is sound design, who we worked with, TISD, TISD, was absolutely pivotal in our sound design. They really brought this to life, and with so much music and so many layers, working with Quaz, our music supervisor, was amazing. And also our post-production house, Digital Sword, that really worked with us to make this possible. And again, Jake L. Mitchell, our cinematographer, which is, with we can send Tan and Hanzo's name after too, but Jake was really just unbelievably amazing and just picking up this heavy camera for 12 hours a day, running and gunning, shooting all the time, and came up with a lot of the live action visual styles with us.
And the terrains in Vietnam are so insanely challenging sometimes, like the collector in the house with all the with music machines, like his room was tiny. It was literally so small we could barely fit five people in it, but it's like that's an example of why I wanted to push for working with a local team because they know the ins and outs, when we're on the boat, or when we're in the in the train section, we had to create like split up two teams, one team with me on the train, one team waiting in the mountain. We coordinated by teleprompters to make.
Oh,
Oh wait, sorry.
walkie
Oh
talkies.
yeah, walkie-talkies. Yeah. To coordinate, the moment of the train about to, pass the into the tunnel, things like that. It's like those moments um made me so proud and honored to be working with this amazing team.
Well, it is amazing for you to explain all that because it really provided to me as a audience person that I was working through something in real time. It wasn't just telling the story. I was part of the story,
Mhm.
and I have to ask, like, I don't know how many years ago you started working on that since it took at least 5 years to even start finding, the material that you were searching for with your grandfather and how long that idea came and where you were in achieving your graphic arts design, if you imagine like when you started that, like your first huge project would be about familial ties and ancestry and how impactful that would be.
Yeah, so it's to to think about it, I probably started on this probably about 10 years ago. Just starting to find sheet music like photos of these covers online. I had my family pretty much had n nothing left, physically. So it was the images from online that spark intrigued me deeply to start looking for this stuff. And so I worked on just researching and archiving this work for maybe about 5 years. By that time, I had no idea that I was going to make a documentary. I had no idea until I met Doug and then Vic, and like together what they told me is that your story is very special. But at the same time, anybody can make a doc about somebody famous, renowned, but what you have that is unique is that you are his granddaughter. You lead this and you tell it with the fire and passion in your heart.
I want to specify that those were Doug's words. So Doug's the one that actually connected the team. And so when Kwa and Doug met by happenstance through other connections, Doug was the one who actually told her, "Hey, like keep working on this, and you have to make this a doc, whether it's with me or not." And check back in. And a year later, that's when Kwa goes to Doug, and he's like, "Oh my God, this has legs." And then he ropes me into it, and that's where that's also when we came up with basically the we really early on really wanted Qua and her grandfather to be this twin narrative where you mirror both of their life paths in a way. And so while he's taking the flight south, she's on the train south, and when he's at his lowest point, she's not sure where to go next. And so the story was really about mirroring all of these kind of emotional beats. And there's a huge with her hand lines, there's this secondary kind of motif that's behind reincarnation, but the way that we play it is not actual in straight up terms, but it's the fact that they're living the same journey and they're going through so many of these emotions. And a scoop that I can actually give you about that first the sequence that we have, which is the desert. We actually did not intend to use that at all in that way. We intended to use all of the desert sequences as almost these kind of internal representation of how Qua feels, and they ended up being these chapter headers for the journey that Qua is going to go on, these symbolic representations.
Did the process of creating the film actually change how you understood your own story and your family's story?
Yes. So, it actually brought my family so much closer. My mom, started at the beginning of this journey, also did not have that much knowledge about her father, about Yvonne, and through, with me. Together on this journey, she started learning so much more about her father that is it makes me so happy, and that's one of the most rewarding parts for me to see my family come together at the end, the two wives, at the end. That I think that shot in the film, where my grandma and her cousin, that's both of Yvonne's wives dancing together. I will never forget that moment because, it shows that the art of power, the power of art and music can heal everything. And I think that's one of the best parts for me.
As everything comes together, from the search to rebuilding the music to
Mm-hmm.
bringing it into the present, I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious what it feels like now to actually have this legacy living again, not just preserved, not just as dynamically preserved as you've done it, artistically creative, but experienced by people today.
So I'm really excited about things that we have in plans for the future of the film. We speak a lot about this film is not just a film. Yvonne is not just a film. It is a movement. It is an archival movement and to preserve legacy and culture. And beyond the film release, we are working on releasing the soundtrack. We have remix compilations that we're working with the younger generation of artists. We're gonna have a book release. We want to tour the event that you see in the end of the film, to show all these rare artifacts. We want to tour this, and that's kind of like the future of the film. Uh,
And I think that something that our producers coined and that we really talk about with this film is that we call this a docbuster. It's a cheeky way to say documentary plus blockbuster, and in essence, it's about a film being more than just a film. It's two things. It's also a really important thing for us is to have this movie feel fun, adventurous, fresh, and like the term that's been thrown around recently, hope core. It's very about hope, love, life, and we really made a choice. A lot of films about Vietnam are about war, struggle, sadness. This is not that. This is a story about love, heritage, music, family, adventure. Just it's really about the good in people and the good in the world. And we think that this is a good time to have a little more of that. And the reason that it's also a dockbuster is because we intend to do those additional things beyond the movie, to have a merch line, to have these vinyls, to have these events. This is just the beginning, and just the beginning for most of the team, and for Quad, just the beginning in a long haul. This is a life's journey for her.
Did this process reconnect you where you
yes,
were feeling? That's good.
yeah,
Excellent.
100%.
So it connects you to both worlds and actually being a part of a new community, I think.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share with the viewers to
Um,
for your doc-buster?
we have a little list. So yes, there is. So I'd love to share kind of just a little bit of a festival update. So we premiered at Doc NYC in November, and our spring tour. We're just calling them by seasons, I guess, instead of quarters. But we did Atlanta Film Festival, Florida Film Festival, San Luis Obispo, Los Angeles
San
International
Diego.
Asian Film Festival, and San Diego Asian Film Festival. And we actually just got the news yesterday that we got 2 awards at the San Luis Obispo Festival
Oh, that's amazing.
for the best documentary feature and for the best of fest. So just winning the audience award for of all films, not just documentaries. And so we're absolutely delighted. And also, I am definitely going back to that film festival. It was the most fun we had. Um, just other names that could be important. Our editor's name is Ben Shern, Shearn. He was pivotal. Dan Edwards was our colorist. And I think I shared the other names. And for kind of the future plans, we wish to do a box office run in Vietnam when we have prospects of that on the horizon. And we think that this film's, let Qua touch that when I'm done with this little list. We think it'll be really good to show the film out there. And then we're currently in the process of seeking distribution in the US with people that would love to align with this campaign, this timeline, and sharing the music as well. And then, Kwa, yeah, maybe if you want to share a tiny bit about the theatrical release across Vietnam.
Yeah, so I think most importantly, this film is something that is created for, to bring back to Vietnam for the Vietnamese people. And then we want to bring this to the US and the rest of the world. In Vietnam, the concept of feature documentaries is something that is not as, as understood. Like there's not that people don't watch documentaries as much as they do in the US, and so we hoped with this film to bring a new understanding of and perception of modern documentary filmmaking. That documentaries can be fun and engaging and passionate. You know, it's not just documentaries they watch on the Discovery Channel. You know, like back like 15 years ago. That is something I hoped to bring to Vietnam and have the younger Vietnamese generation to understand that this is the future of independent filmmaking.
What?
And
Uh-huh.
oh, sorry. Yeah, and you know, as much as this film is super geared towards Vietnam, it's also a global film because, and this is a lot of the feedback that we've been getting from people because this is universal. Everyone's got a family. Everyone hopefully has some love going, and music is the universal language. It transcends everything. And so, as much as this film has a special place in Vietnam, it's really something that we actually at our screening just recently in Atlanta, someone was like, "Hey, this film resonated with me on so many levels." My grandfather was a musician in Pakistan, and so he had a very similar story, and his music was lost, and it was like, wow, you know, and even people that have different stories and just it's something that we can all really relate to.
Mm.
Absolutely. I think the threads of devotion and the touches on just music, sensory, the dynamics, everything that you've incorporated in it. Congratulations on your awards. That's amazing. And, I'm really looking forward to what's to come.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Toby. It's very exciting, and thanks for having a chat with us today.
Well, thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thank you so much. It's really meaningful to experience and to talk through with you. And I wish we had more time because I definitely would love to hear more about what it came to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Toby. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day. And feel free to reach out to us if there's any information that you need additionally. Um, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Okay,
Toby.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.